6440 to order. But before we begin, let's all silence our cell phones. I would like to ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Our club's mission is to provide a supportive learning environment through which members feel empowered to become better public speakers by developing their competent communication and leadership skills. And without further ado, please help me welcome today's Toastmaster, Phyllis H.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This is, for those of you who are not aware, this is my first time at being Toastmaster.
You're doing great.
Already. I have chosen for our theme today, Book Lovers Day. Today is the first, actually this is the first time I've run across this unofficial type holiday. And being an English Lit major as well as a bibliophile, it was definitely something that I wanted to share with everyone else. We are going to go ahead and get started with our introductions. Let me tell you a little bit about Book Lovers Day. What Book Lovers Day is simply recognizing and encouraging the love of books and reading, as you can imagine. There is some controversy over whether it is supposed to be celebrated on August 9th every year or the first week in November. As it's unofficial, I don't think there's too many arguments actually. So now we're going to go ahead and get started with introducing our technical table. Sorry, my notes are not as thorough as they should be. Our technical table, and we'll start with our dual duty person today, our Sergeant at Arms, and also our timer, Macarena Torres.
Thank you, Toastmaster Phyllis. My function is to time the speakers, evaluators, and table topic participants to ensure they meet the timing requirements. I will demonstrate the timing lights, which is displayed as follows. Green is 5, yellow is 6, red is 7 for the speakers. Table topics, 30 seconds is green, 45 seconds is yellow, and 1 minute is red. And for evaluators, 2 minutes green, 2.5 yellow, and 3 minutes red. I will report the timing results at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Our all counter today is Carrie Bird.
As all counter, it is my function to listen for the use of filler words such as you know, so, okay, and other audible pauses. I will be noting if members perform any double clutches, which means to say things twice, such as this means, this means. Finally, I will also include things that might be distracting such as lip smacks, and I'll leave my recording in the meeting, and all infractions of Part 5-6.
And our grammarian for today, Julia Buck.
And fellow Toastmasters and guests. Our word of today is bumptious. Bumptious. Lest you think I'm really original, this was a dictionary word of the day last week. But I thought it was a good one, and I'm sharing it with you today. Bumptious actually means, as noted here, offensively self-assertive. Other definitions are crudely or loudly assertive, pushy, or cocky. All right. Challenge for today to use that during the meeting, and I will be taking notes. As grammarian, it's my function to select this word of the day to help other members build their vocabularies. Each member, when called on to speak, is encouraged to use the word of the day. Other members may gently rap on the table when they hear the member use the word. In addition, I will be listening for any errors in grammar, as well as excellent word selections. I will also be noting any colorful thoughts or phrases members might be. During the evaluation portion of the meeting, I will present.
Thank you to our technical table. So we are starting with our first speaker of today. That is Gene McCauley. He is working on his third speech in the Competent Communication Manual. This is to organize a speech to achieve general and specific purpose, reinforce the purpose with beginning, body, and conclusion, project sincerity and conviction, control nervousness, and strive not to use notes. With a speech entitled, "There is no free lunch," I present Gene McCauley.
Toastmasters, yes. There's a vacuous phrase being repeated a lot right now by bumptious blowhards. I saw it on bumper stickers on the way here. Make America great again. This, of course, implies that America was great at some point, and we've somehow lost that greatness. Presumably because of civil rights, women voting, or the EPA or something. I don't really know. Now, there is merit to this slogan in that it displaces another thought-terminating cliche. That is, the United States is the greatest country in the world. We are not the greatest country in the world in many ways. Many of the developed nations surpass us in literacy, math skills, life expectancy, and other measures. There's also not a single point any of us would want to go back to that we would consider greater in most ways than now. Granted, along some dimensions, we've lost ground, but overall, we have improved. I do believe that we are great in many ways, and I do agree with a charitable interpretation of that campaign slogan, and that we should be striving together to be the greatest country in every way we can. There are many ways we can improve. I'm here today to persuade you that one way we can improve is to feed our students better. Here in the United States, as in most of the world, we have compulsory state-sponsored education at the primary school level. This is not controversial. The transition to compulsory schooling started in 1852 and was nationwide by 1917. We expect all children to attend school until they've completed the 12th grade, or they have reached the age at which they can legally drop out. We expect that taxes pay for this education, that no child be excluded from basic education because of the economic status of his or her parents. We do, however, expect the families to send lunch money with their children if they have the means. That is, every child is expected to pay for lunch. If the family cannot afford it, there are free and reduced fee programs available to close the gap. I think we should get rid of these programs entirely and fully fund excellent school lunches. There should be no line to get a free lunch card and no cashier. There should be no decision necessary on the part of students or families to keep students well fed and fueled for growing and learning. Many other rich developed countries, and some developing countries, provide excellent meals to their public school students at no cost to the students or families. In Finland, for example, school meals are viewed as an investment for the future. The aim is to maintain and improve children's health, well-being, and learning. The school meal is used as a tool for teaching table manners, food culture, nutrition, and healthy eating habits, as well as for increasing the consumption of vegetables, fruits and berries, and milk. One way in which we lead the world, a way in which we are indeed undoubtedly the greatest country in the world, is obesity, particularly childhood obesity. Go USA. We need to fix that. We know what causes it. Yes, there is some debate about the finer points and factors, but there's no disagreement that people are eating food that is bad for them. Students are learning bad eating habits right here in the schools we fund. Do you know what students here will eat for lunch the first day back at school this year? I looked it up on the website. In Orange County, it's chicken nuggets. That's the entree, chicken nuggets. In Seminole County, it includes a Smucker's Uncrustables registered trademark symbol, crustless peanut butter jelly sandwich. We should not be feeding kids processed food for lunch. They're eating food with added sugar while we have an obesity crisis. At a time when their bodies and brains are still developing, we're feeding them what we know to be less than what they should have. They should eat great fresh food made in the kitchen. No school lunches include a registered trademark symbol as part of the menu. They should experience every day what a proper meal is, so their expectations are higher. They can be satisfied by something made in a factory and sealed in plastic. Children should be taught with every meal what is good for them, so they build good eating habits. One cannot expect a semester of health class to overcome damage done by providing bad food every day. They shouldn't be exposed to advertising, be buying sodas and snacks out of vending machines. The companies that sell and market these products do not have the best interest of children in mind. Schools should be free from the influence of advertising. There is a federal program which subsidizes school lunches. It defines what is appropriate and acceptable, and yet it still doesn't fund lunches fully. It allows for the aforementioned fast food, and famously defined ketchup and pickle relish as vegetables. We need to discard that program and take ownership at the county or state level. If we really want to ensure that we're working towards being the greatest country in the world, one thing we should do is ensure that every future citizen is ridiculously well fed. It should be a covenant between citizens and children. We're going to feed you well and correctly. Study hard because it's your job next. We can afford to do it. We should be doing it. It's dumb and self-defeating that we aren't doing it. As is often said, there is no free lunch. We can pay for it now, or we can pay for it later with interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean, for your enlightening speech on our public school system and lunches. As we were going, I was choosing book. Oh, sorry, 1 minute on the clock. Thank you.
We can write our stuff.
Yeah. Pause, please.
You're excited.
I am. So as I was choosing the topic for Book Lovers Day, I was trying to think of who are my favorite authors, and I couldn't think of narrowing it down just to 2, 3, or 4. So I did come up with some topics that I wanted to share with you, and one of is the connection between books and money. I share a quote from Benjamin Franklin: "A man who puts his purse into his head will never be poor." One of my favorite authors. On to our next speaker, who is also working on Competent Communication Manual number 3. And with the same focus of organizing speech to achieve general and specific purpose, reinforce the purpose with beginning, body, and conclusion, project sincerity and conviction, control nervousness, and strive to not use notes. In giving us a speech entitled 3 Steps to Becoming Rich, I introduce possibly Rich Massa, but I think I'll call him Shayne.
I am filthy, stinking rich. Well, at least 2 out of 3. Madam Toastmaster, fellow members and guests, thank you for joining us today. I know that you all have pens in front of you so that you can sit there judging me. But I'd like to ask you to use those pens for another purpose today. I'd like to ask you to take some notes. Because the information that I'm going to be giving to you today has the potential to change you forever. This is going to be the best 5 to 7 minutes of your life. During the next 5 to 7 minutes, I intend to teach you my 3-step process to becoming rich. Now I know what you're thinking. First, you're thinking, Who is Shayne to teach us to be rich? Shayne's not rich. And you're right. I'm not rich. But I have studied what it's like to be rich extensively for the past 6 years, and I intend to teach you my findings. Secondly, you're thinking, well, he's going to have to be more specific. He needs to define what being rich is. But can being rich really be bound up into the confines of the English language? I don't believe so. But alas, I will attempt. My definition of being rich means not living life by life's rules. If you want to be rich, you're going to ruffle a few feathers. If you want to be rich, you've got to be able to see things from a new perspective, on another level, if you know what I mean. So step number 1 to becoming rich, you need to be willing to do anything. And I do mean anything. If you want to be rich, you can't go around playing it safe. If you want to be rich, you got to be willing to sacrifice a few things. If you want to be rich, you can't live life by the status quo. And if you want to be rich, you're going to break a few rules. You can't half-ass it. You got to go all in. You got to commit. I'm talking full retard. You need to be willing to burn your bridges, sink your ships, throw caution to the wind, strip your clothes off your body in front of droves and people, and shake your moneymaker if that's what it takes. Dignity be damned, you want to be rich. Step number 2. You're going to have to not only learn to ignore the naysayers, but you need to be willing to endure them, because they're going to be there forever. When you become rich, you're going to be on the receiving end of a lot of attention that you maybe not going to be used to. Not all of it's going to be positive. Haters will come after you in droves, attempting to throw negativity your way, discount your accomplishments. It's going to happen. Some people might have some good advice for you. You need to ignore that too, belligerently. You need to be completely resistant to any and all feedback. You're better than them. You know it. They know it. Move on. You're rich. Step number 3 to becoming rich. You need to learn to live short. Let me clarify what I mean by that. You need to be able to live below your means. Don't concern yourself with keeping up with the Joneses. Don't concern yourself with whether or not you're reaching the same heights as your neighbor. I saved this step for last because this is the most important step of them all. If you want to be rich, you got to be comfortable with living short. It has to be fully ingrained into your soul and into every fiber of your being, from your toes to your head. You got to be comfortable with living short if you want to be rich. Personally, I've been me my whole life. Ever since I was a little boy. You've always been you. You've always been you. But you don't have to be. If you've paid attention today, if you've taken notes, I believe with every part of my soul, if you follow my 3-step process, if you follow my 3-step process, be willing to do anything, completely ignore any advice from anyone on the outside, and be short, you too can be rich. Massa. He was supposed to be here today. He told me he was going to be here.
round of applause, please.
Really short.
Told me he was going to be here today. That's the only reason I missed
Thank you, Shayne, for throwing us that curveball first thing in the morning. Nothing like that to keep us on our toes. So I'm actually rearranging my order because it goes along more with Shayne's speech, is the idea of linking books and character. And that's one of the great things that authors can do, is create these wonderful characters that can move us, much like Shayne had created in his speech, the character that we all, most of us know. For those of you who are guests, Rich is another member here in the club. Characters such as Anna Karenina, who is someone in the character in the novel by also titled Anna Karenina, is someone who throws caution to the wind to totally change her life. So as we go on to our next speech, will be our third speaker, Gus Davies, who is presenting a speech to us, or is presenting from the Interpretive Reading Manual number 1, Read a Story. And our Gus Davies is an Advanced Communicator Silver and Advanced Leader Bronze. Today he is presenting from the Interpretive Reading Manual in the Advanced Communication Series Project number 1. He is reading selections from the book of Esther in the Old Testament, which tells the story of Queen Esther in 479 BC, the Jewish wife of the king of Persia who saved the Jews of the realm from extermination. Her original Hebrew name is Hadashah, which I'm sure will be corrected when he comes up. The other personalities are the king Xerxes, Mordecai, Esther's guardian, Haman, and the other key people in the palace. Please listen to a historical Bible story from the ancient Near Eastern country of Persia about a Hebrew woman whose faith and determination saved her Jewish people from the wicked plot of Haman. Gus Davies.
I'll be reading from the 17th book in the order in the Old Testament. That is the book of Esther. Some of you may never have read that story. So when I say I'm reading the book of Esther, you will think it just has biblical stories. But the word G-O-D, which is pronounced, is not even mentioned in the book of Esther, because it's an historical account. But you will see the hand of God throughout the story of the book of Esther. Madam Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters and guests, let me read the historical account. It was the 3rd year of the reign of Xerxes, emperor of the vast Media-Persia Empire, with its 127 provinces stretching from India to Ethiopia. This was the year of the great celebration in the Susa Palace, to which the emperor invited all of his governors, aides, army officers, bringing them in from every part of the empire for this occasion. The celebration lasted 6 months, a tremendous display of the wealth and glory of his empire. Queen Vashti gave a party for the women of the palace at the same time. On the final day, when the king was feeling high, half drunk from wine, he told his 7 officials who were his personal aides to bring Queen Vashti to him with the royal crown upon her head, so that all the men could gaze upon her beauty. For she was a very beautiful woman. But when they conveyed the emperor's orders to Queen Vashti, she refused to come. She said no. She was bumptious. The king was furious, but first consulted his lawyers, so he did nothing without talking to his lawyers. They were men of wisdom who knew the temper of the times as well as all of the Persian laws and justice, and the king trusted their judgment. The king said, "What shall I do about this situation? What penalty does the law provide for a queen who refuses to obey the king's orders, properly sent to her?" Memucan answered on behalf of all the others, "Queen Vashti has wronged you, not only the king, but every official and citizen of your empire. We suggest that, subject to your agreement, you issue a royal edict, a law of the Medes and Persians that can never be changed, that Queen Vashti be banished from your presence, and you choose another queen more worthy than she is." But after King Xerxes' anger cooled down, he began brooding over the loss of Vashti, realizing that he would never see her again. So his aides suggested to him, "Let us go and find the most beautiful girls in the empire and bring them to the king for his pleasure. The girl who pleases you most shall be the queen instead of Vashti." This suggestion naturally pleased the king very much, and he put the plan into immediate effect. Now there was a certain Jew at the palace named Mordecai. He had been captured from Jerusalem when it was destroyed and exiled into Babylon with the others from his tribe. This man had a beautiful and lovely young cousin called Hadassah, also known as Esther, whose father and mother were dead. And when he had adopted into his family, he raised Esther up as his daughter. So now, as a result of the king's decree, Esther was brought to the king's harem in Susa, along with many other girls. Esther hadn't told anyone that she was a Jew, for Mordecai had told her not to do so. Mordecai came daily to the court of the harem to ask about Esther and find out what was happening. When it was Esther's turn to go to the king, she accepted the advice of Haggai, the eunuch in charge of the harem, dressing her in a very beautiful manner. And all the girls who saw Esther were delighted at what they saw. So Esther was taken to the palace of the king in January of the 7th year of Xerxes' reign. The king loved Esther more than any of the other girls. He was so delighted with her that he set the royal crown on her head and declared her queen instead of Vashti. To celebrate the occasion, he threw another big party for all his officials and servants, giving generous gifts to everyone and making grants to provinces in the form of remission of taxes. Later, the king demanded a second parade or pageant of beautiful girls. By that time, Mordecai had become a government official. Esther still hadn't told anyone that she was a Jew, for she was still following Mordecai's orders, just as she had done at his home. One day, as Mordecai was on duty at the palace, two of the king's officials, who were guards at the palace gate, became angry at the king and plotted to assassinate the king. Mordecai heard about it and passed on the information to Queen Esther, who told the king, crediting Mordecai for the information. An investigation was made. The two men were found guilty and and hand. This was all duly recorded in the book of the history of King Xerxes. Soon afterwards, King Xerxes appointed Haman as prime minister of the empire. He was the most powerful official in the empire next to the king himself. Now all the king's officials bowed before Haman in deep reverence whenever he passed by, as the king had commanded. Mordecai refused to bow in the presence of Haman. Finally, they spoke to Haman about this, and that Mordecai was not bowing in front of him. And Haman was furious and decided not only to lay hands on Mordecai the Jew, but to remove all of Mordecai's people, to exterminate them, destroy all of them throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. Haman now approached the king about the matter. There is a certain race of people scattered through all the provinces of your kingdom, he began. And their laws are different from those of other nations, and they refuse to obey the king's orders. Therefore, it is not in the king's interest to let them live. If it pleases the king, issue a decree that they may be destroyed, and I will pay $20 million into the royal treasury for the expense involved in wiping these people out. The king agreed, confirming his decision, removing his ring from his finger and giving it to him and telling him, keep the money, but go ahead and do as you like with these people, whatever you think best. When Mordecai heard what had been done, he tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and went into the city crying and wailing. And throughout all the province, there was a great mourning among the Jews, because they knew they would be wiped out. Esther was told about what Mordecai was doing. Then Esther sent Hitach, one of the king's eunuchs who had been appointed as her attendant, and told them to go to Mordecai so that he would not be in trouble. Hitach went to Mordecai, and when he found him in the gates, he told him what had happened. He was to take the message back to Esther. So Hitach gave the message to Esther. This was Mordecai's reply when Hitach returned. And he said, this is the message to Esther. Do you think you will escape there in the palace when all the Jews were killed? If you keep silent at a time like this, deliverance will come from another source. And who knows that you've been called into the royal palace for such a time as this? Then Esther sent message to Mordecai. Go gather together all the Jews and fast for me, and I will go into the presence of the king. And if I perish, I perish. To be continued. Madam Toastmaster.
1 minute, please. Thank you, Gus, for the telling of a story that may not be known to most of us.
Thank you.
So my third connection I want to make to you between books, so I talked to you about books and money, I've talked to you about books and character, is books and perseverance. And to relay that, a story that many of you might be familiar with, because she is known to be somewhat bumptious person herself, is J.K. Rowling. Everyone knows that name now, but when she was first writing her story and trying to get it out there, she went to over 11 different publishers and received rejections. So if you think about if she ever did give up stories and the millions of dollars in our economy, that would have been lost if she did not persevere. So now we are moving on to our table topics, and I would like to present to you our table topic master today, Mr. James Harris.
Thank you, Phyllis. For those of you who don't know about table topics, it's a part of the program that helps you train to be able to stand up and speak impromptu, extemporaneous, which is the real world. You may or may not know nothing about the subject, but the idea is to not sound like a total idiot. You can actually take the subject, you can bridge to something else, which is acceptable in the real world. So, I'm going to call on those people who didn't have a function today in the program. And speaking of books, one of my favorite books, you can see, okay, I read it 3 times. Okay. On my 3rd time through. Very good book. The name of it is Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude by Napoleon Hill and Clement Stone. These are old guys from the old days who really knew what they were talking about. I'm looking at the Bible, of course, like the Bible. So I'm going to pick up a few subjects from this book and ask you to comment on it and maybe say what you think it may be mean to you, or what the author may have had in mind. And the first person I'm going to call on is, well, I can tell you. Meet the most important living person in the world. Who is it? Alexandra.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. Who is the most important person in the world that I have met?
Who is it? Who is it? Yes.
The most important person in the world that I have met has been very important in my career. He has inspired me. His name is Mr. Gallagher. He's the founder of the first telecommunication company that I joined, and I joined because of him, because the way he treated the group, the way he treated the whole company. He's still alive. He's a great leader, and I admire his work. So in my career, he caused a great impact. Thank you.
Thank you. The time is 45 plus minus 15 seconds. In this book, the most important person in the world is you, me. You discover that you're the most important person in the world to you. When you read it, understand who you are. You're important. We're good though. Next, you can change the world. Toastmaster Candido.
I wouldn't make it short. I don't want to look like an idiot. What I'm saying is, I don't like reading books. I think books are all antiquated. They are not environment friendly. They're killing trees. And they're archaic. They're antiquated. Why do we need books? When I read books, I have a headache. This is mundane, monotonous, no challenge. But I'm just kidding. But I was saying when I... What was the question again?
Change the world.
Change the world?
You can change the world.
Absolutely. Hey, we have so many ideas that are really great, and one of the ideas is stop using books. We have ebooks. In Orange County now, children are they're not giving any books, they are giving laptops in order to have this
digital manuscript in order to save money, I guess. But that's all I have time for now. Thank you so much.
Seeing is learning to understand what it is you're looking at. Learning to see, Toastmaster Marty. Learning to see.
I'm determined to be particularly bumptious in my attitude and in my tone, and telling you that learning to see is dependent upon where you are looking. If you're telling me that book, which I'm with you, I dislike books tremendously. I like short 15-minute articles that I can absorb so that I can see what I want to see and not somebody else's vision. So when I see what I want to see, it's where I want to look. Thank you.
Okay. You're doing good so far. Motivation. This chapter talks about, well, the title is How to Motivate Yourself. Marvin.
How to motivate yourself. I think one of the things is try to not be bumptious. Like some of our candidates, maybe. The way that I motivate myself is I try to find something that's out of my reach but I want to pursue. And the thing is I have to have the internal desire to want it. I have to want it so much that it gives me that intrinsic value, that intrinsic motivation to go for it. I've done it with running my first half marathon. I just decided, hey, I'm going to do this. Nobody else was pushing me. My wife actually laughed at me the first time I told her. But it has to come from inside. That motivation cannot come from outside. Find that target, making sure it's out of your reach, and then go for it.
One more? Anyone that didn't have an assignment? We got time? No. We got time? Good. Thank you very much. Vice Comments.
No minute on the clock for this next bit. As we are at our time right now, we're going to go ahead and move to our general evaluator, Stephen Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now we get to the point where we gain the feedback we all want in order to learn and grow. Our first part of that will be the evaluations of the prepared speeches. Our evaluators will be coming up to tell us the things that our speakers have done well and a few ideas for improvement. Hopefully ending with a good positive statement because we want them to get back up here and do it again. Beginning with the evaluation of Jean's speech, please welcome Martin Bell.
Good morning, everyone, and thanks especially to Jean McCulley. Jean, I love you. You have such a funny face. A little bit superfluous today, so all kidding aside. Jean's speech, there is no free lunch, was to get to the point. So in this speech, the speaker was to prepare a speech that has a clear general purpose, which could be either inform, persuade, entertain, or inspire. And this was to persuade us to feed our kids well. There was a specific purpose here, which you actually gave us right at the beginning of the speech. Throughout the speech, it was to be organized in a manner that supported the purposes. It needed a body, a beginning, a body, and a conclusion to tie into and reinforce the purposes. And the speaker was to inject sincerity and conviction and strive not to use notes during the speech. So, as far as the general purpose of the speech and the specific of the purpose of the speech, Jean, I thought you did very well. You were making a argument to persuade us on a topic that was very interesting and important to all of us. Right? Who doesn't want to help out our kids? I mean, you're an evil parent if you're not interested in doing so. So I thought you chose a very interesting and important topic which impacts us all. Jean, I thought you used really good humor at the beginning of the speech. For a moment there, I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to be stumping for Hillary here, or just bashing Trump for the next 5 minutes. Here we go again. The main points, I believe you got to, if my understanding is correct, the 3 points of the body were basically arguments that we shouldn't be allowing students, kids, to be making the decisions on what they're going to eat every day. They should be focused on being educated. The second point was that building good eating habits is also healthy. And third, it could help reduce another problem if we feed our kids, that is a reduction in obesity. I thought perhaps you might have helped the audience gain a little bit more clarity using something that Gus has helped us with when these type of speeches. For example, Gus says, this is what I'm going to tell you about, this is what I'm telling you about, and this is what I've just told you about. Right? So perhaps using phrases like first, second, or third, or number one, second, and finally, kind of using pauses and dramatic effect with those type of phrases may have helped gain clarity there. But in the end, I thought you made a very persuasive argument. I'm totally there with you. It's hard to disagree. I have friends who are teachers, and I can't understand how some parents decide not to feed their kids. I think that's the first decision you should make every day, is wake up as a parent and say, I'm going to feed my darn kids, and not leave it to anybody else. I really like your sense of humor, your phrases, vacuous, phrased by bumptious individuals, that had everybody going. You use interesting facts. I hate Finland even more. Saunas and everything. So you finished it up with ridiculously well fed. I thought you might have said, make America great again. But I really enjoyed it. Look forward to maybe not reading from your notes and just having your personality come out. I know besides having a funny face, just like myself, you got a great personality. Look forward to your next speech, Jean. Thanks.
Evaluating Shayne's desire to be our most bumptious member down there. Please welcome Julia Kaufman.
Stephen, good morning, Toastmasters and guests. Good morning. Most particularly Shayne. Shayne's speaking out of the Competent Communications Manual, also on speech 3, get to the point. And like the project is, you got right up here and told us 3 things that you're going to tell us about how to get rich. Now I was a little confused because you said, I'm not rich, but I'm going to tell you how to get rich. And then you told us the 3 things, but it was kind of, something was not ringing true to this. So first you said the 3 steps were to study. Oh, that was the process. You said, be willing to do anything. Throw caution to the wind. Ignore the naysayers and endure them. And then live short. And when you said that, I started to have some clarity. And someone was not here. He was not here, and he lost out on that. So I'm glad it's being taped. So then you were feeling a little bumptious. And that fit in with the whole theme of your speech. You came up here and told us what you're going to say. You gave us the 3 steps, and then you ended up with a really nice twist to talk about rich masa, which was so funny. What I loved most about it, in all your speeches actually, is your humor. You weave humor so naturally. You are a natural speaker and should absolutely do the humorous contest because you could win. Sign up. Sign up, yeah, there's a plug for our contest. One of the items that I'm not supposed to critique you in here, but one thing to point out is your body language was perfect. One habit is the prayer. So you do a lot of hand holding and gesturing like that, so just keep that in mind. But you nailed your project. You gave us humor in here, maybe something to think about for the humorous contest. So thank you.
In evaluating Gus's reading, please welcome Ernst.
Good morning, Toastmasters, fellow members, Madame Toastmaster, especially Gus. Gus's assignment today was from the Interpretive Reading Manual. Number 1, read a story. And the objective was to understand the elements of interpretive reading, to learn how to analyze a narrative and plan for effective interpretation, to learn and apply vocal techniques that will aid in the effectiveness of the reading. And the notes for me as an evaluator, the purpose of the project was for the speaker to present the narrative using vocal techniques and help the audience to understand and enjoy the selection. The speaker was to convey the author's meaning and emotion. It says here, suggests that you read the entire project in appendix before this presentation. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time to read it. I would have liked to, because it would have made me understand this a little bit better. Of course, if there's anything I enjoy less than public speaking is giving a evaluation on a subject which is reading no less of a pipe of the biblical history. So that made it even more difficult. And as I was falling asleep, I did glance and understand something. I guess the storyline was about redemption, courage, boldness of a woman, and it happened to be in Persia, 394 BC, and Persia then reached between Persia, which is Iran, all the way to India. And I guess they're trying to do this again, reinvent themselves. To what degree did the speaker, that was kind of the theme. How did the speaker emphasize the words which were important to revealing the narrative's meaning? I guess that's what it means. He pronounced the names of the people involved in the story well, and he gave us a historical understanding of what happened. How did the speaker build to the story? He explained, first of all, when that happened. There was they had 127 provinces at the time, and it reached from Persia to India, and it talked about the queen who did not want to follow the direction of the king, and he had to find a way to get her out, and that's what happened. And of course he asked for Esther, who then was a Jewish lady, and her uncle to present her during the youth action. Was that correct? He getting more and more towards Donald Trump. Anyways, did the speaker appear to spontaneous in the presentation? I'm not so sure. Was there any spontaneity? I'm not so sure. What did the speaker have done different? I think he should have, instead of speaking up here, sat down and read the story, because it's reading a story instead of standing. And also about talking about eye contact, I think he could have, by sitting down, instead of looking up like this, he could have had more eye contact by sitting down, because you were, I guess, at the same height versus looking down. What did you like the presentation? I learned the story of Esther and how women always influence the man's decision.
With that, we move to the technical sales reports, which you realize are all female today, Ernst. Our timer this morning, Macarena, how well did we do with time?
There's a little confusion on the agenda. Jean and Shayne's, it said it was 3 to 5 minutes, and it's supposed to be 5 to 7. And I do apologize to Jean, because I started putting up the cards at 3 to 5. And then but Jean, you did well, because you got 5:18, so you still did good. Shayne, 5:48. Gus, your allotted time was 8 to 10. You did 10:27. Alexandra, now we're on to the table topics. Alexandra, 41 seconds. Candido, 1 minute, 14 seconds. Marty, 35 seconds. Marvin, 58 seconds. And our evaluators today, Martin, 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Julia, 1 minute and 50 seconds. Ernst, 3 minutes, 47 seconds. And that is my report.
On counter, Carrie, how much did we collect today?
Okay, let's see, Macarena, 1 double clutch. Phyllis, 11 Oz, 6 so's, 2 double clutches, 2 ands. Jean, 2 double clutches. Shayne, 1 so. Gus, 1 double clutch. James, 1 1 so. Steve was clean. Marvin, our big winner today. 31 Oz, 1 so, 1 double clutch. Julia Kaufman, 1 double clutch, 1 and. Ernst, 13 Oz, 1 double clutch, 3 ands. Alexandra, 3 Oz. Candido, 1 but. Marty, 1 so. Marvin, 1 double clutch. I think I had 3 Oz match.
And our grammarian Julia, how did we do with the English language?
Very well, actually. 8 people used the word of the day. My hat's off to you because I thought when I chose that, I don't know that this is going to happen. Honorable mention goes to Phyllis, Jean, Gus, Marty, Marvin, Stephen, and Martin and Julia. Congratulations. Misuse of words. The only one I really caught is a double negative by James Harris. May or may not know nothing about the subject. And then the other one was, and I'll dialogue about this because I'm uncertain, but my pronunciation is superfluous and Martin was superfluous. So I'm not so sure which is correct, but I'll split the difference.
He gets the benefit of the doubt.
Jean, I loved your language about ridiculously well-fed and well-fed and fueled in particular. Gus, it was storytelling only. I would love to give you honorable mention. There was nothing there. Marty, I loved your language of see what I want to see, it's where I want to look. But it's very, very visual. Marvin, I liked your comment about it's out of reach, but I want to pursue it with regards to motivation. And that, gonna take Mr. Evaluator and Madam Toastmaster is my report for today, and I'm sitting down.
This is the point where I'm supposed to get an evaluation of the meeting, but since the clock is pointing out we're already 4 minutes past my time and 2 minutes into club business, I'll point out the only thing I can say is that time has been a problem today. There's a reason we have a clock up here, and we want to be, this particular club, it's important because we want to be done by 8:30 because people go to work. Therefore, I shall have our president come up and get through our stuff as fast as we can with all the guests we want to hear from too.
Great meeting. Thank you all for showing up. We have a lot of guests this morning. We have Bob, who's returning with his wife, Lynn. So yay, thanks for coming in. And Barbara invited Devin. Devin, if you don't mind letting us know, I know how you got here. But would you mind telling us why you're interested in Toastmasters?
You know what, I feel like I'm an okay, stand.
Yeah.
I'm an okay public speaker, but I don't get enough practice doing it, so I figured I'd come by and, and get some more practice doing it.
Barbara, nice to see you again. And Marvin, it's good to see you back there. We have Jose. I think you visited before, haven't you?
Oh, first time.
First time. Well, it's great to see you. Would you mind letting us know how you heard of us and what brought you to Toastmasters?
Sure. Well, I was working out with my buddy here, and he just told to stop by. I thought it was a great opportunity to meet great people, and from what I see, everybody's very positive, and that's what I need, and that's what we all need, I believe.
Did you say Shayne invited you?
I'm not James.
Oh, James.
Yeah.
James.
Hey, James was out too.
Believe it or not.
Well, it's great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. Okay, we are really short on time. Just want to remind you, we have a club contest on the 30th. So sign up for that. It's humorous and evaluation. Next week is the 16th. And really quick, we need a Toastmaster. We have Alexandra, Carrie, and Stephanie speaking. Table topics is Macarena. We need a general evaluator. You'll do it? We need a general evaluator. The evaluators next week, myself, Terrell, and Phyllis. I'll counter Ernst, Julia Grammarian, and timer Ernst. You have twice. So we need either an all counter or a timer. So I'll have the schedule up here. Okay, I'll have the schedule up here, and we'll adjourn. And I'm sorry that it was so
Oh, wait a minute.
rushed. Yes. Oh, 50-50. Okay, yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Money.
Who's got the? Okay, 50-50.
How much we get today?
Okay. Anybody else want to buy real quick before we leave? Nope? Okay. Devin, would you mind just drawing a ticket?
Oh, sure.
The winner gets half the money, the club gets the other half.
There you go.
You can read it.
All right, the winner is 230-1433.
1433.
All right, this meeting is adjourned.
Really?
Okay.